We spent 29 days traveling across Vietnam as a couple, from Ho Chi Minh City all the way to the Ha Giang Loop, and our Vietnam-only total came to 2,343 euros, or about 2,720 US dollars. But that number does not tell the full story. We were not traveling on the absolute cheapest backpacker budget. We stayed in private rooms, ate mostly local food, took sleeper buses, rented scooters in different places, did a few tours and activities, and also had some shopping splurges. So in this video, I'll break down exactly where the money went, what was actually worth it, what we would do differently next time, and how much you really need to travel Vietnam on a realistic budget. Hi everyone, I'm Alexandra and this is Alex on the Move, where I share budget travel tips and adventures. Quick context, we traveled south to north, starting in Ho Chi Minh City and finishing with the Ha Giang Loop. We moved at a medium pace, not super slow, but also not rushing through every place just to tick boxes either. Now let's start with accommodation, because this is one of the areas where traveling as a couple actually helped us save money. Accommodation for both of us across 29 days came to 374 euros, which is about 435 US dollars, or about 6.5 euros per person per night. We stayed in private rooms, in hostels and homestays. For two people, this almost always works cheaper than dorm beds once you factor in the private space, so it's worth doing the math before you assume dorms are the budget option. In most smaller towns and rural areas, we're finding decent private rooms for around 350,000 Vietnamese dong per night for the two of us, which is about 12 euros. The places that pushed the cost up were the big cities like Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi, which both had noticeably worse value at a cheaper end, and we ended up in a couple of places that were, let's say, not their best nights. We usually booked our accommodation through Agoda, but before booking we would compare the same place on booking.com as well, both for price and for extra reviews. Then we simply chose whichever platform had the better deal. Food and drink was our biggest category, 600 euros total, or around 700 US dollars. That breaks down to 360 euros for restaurants and street food, 68 euros for groceries, and 170 euros for coffee, smoothies, and the occasional beer. In our experience, eating locally was incredibly affordable. A bowl of pho or a plate of rice or noodles at a local restaurant was usually around 60 to 90,000 Vietnamese dong. Banh mi, which became our go-to quick breakfast, usually from 35 to 50,000 Vietnamese dong. On long days, I recommend packing an extra banh mi for the sleeper buses. Coffee, which we had almost every day, was usually around 50,000 Vietnamese dong. Vietnam has an incredible coffee culture, which I definitely miss. I would recommend the salted coffee over the egg coffee. The grocery budget was mostly snacks and bottled water. I never travel without snackies, but in Vietnam this added up more than I expected. Tap water is not drinkable, so we're buying bottled water regularly. If you want to lower this number, the easiest way is to eat more local food and skip some of the tourist cafes. But for us, food was part of the experience and we didn't want to compromise much of this. Transport was our second biggest category after food, 438 euros in total, or 508 US dollars. I've split this into two parts because they tell different stories. So on one side we have the public transport, which is sleeper buses, local buses, Grab in the cities, and one domestic flight. This came to 338 euros. The flight which we took was Ho Chi Minh to Da Nang, which costed 74 euros for two and saved us a very long bus journey south to central Vietnam, so it was totally worth it. For the bigger cities, Grab was our default. It is the local Uber. It is easy, the price is shown up front, no negotiating and no surprises. For longer distances between cities, sleeper buses were the backbone of our trip. A typical overnight sleeper bus between cities was usually somewhere around 300,000 Vietnamese dong per person. The second part is the motorbike rentals and fuel cost. That was 100 euros for both of us. We were using scooters all the time. It is much easier to move around with scooters than to go on tours because you make your own agenda. So this was our preference. Also, it can lower the budget significantly if you do it yourself rather than going with tours, especially for two people. The rental price was usually around 150,000 Vietnamese dong. Transport is a category that surprises people most on a north to south trip. Vietnam is quite a long country. The sleeper buses are cheap individually, but they do add up across 29 days of moving. For activities and tours, we spent almost the same amount of money as on transport, which was 438 euros or about 510 US dollars. This is probably the most personal category in the whole breakdown because it depends entirely on what you actually want to do. Here are a few experiences worth mentioning that we did. So firstly, we have the Langha Bay cruise, which was about 50 euros for both of us. This is the quieter, less touristy alternative to Halong Bay, and for under 50 euros for two people, it was a genuinely beautiful day. Before booking a cruise or tour through websites like Klook or Get Your Guide, check if the company has its own website or WhatsApp. Sometimes booking directly is cheaper because you avoid the third-party commission. Then we had surfing lessons in Da Nang, which was about 60 euros for both of us. Da Nang has a proper surf scene and the lessons were great fun. Bana Hills, 31.5 euros for one person. I know this one is divisive. It's a theme park built on a mountain with fake French village and a giant golden hand bridge. People either love it or find it absurd. I'm a fantasy lover, so for me, walking around something that felt like a scene from a fairy tale was worth every cent. Nico skipped it, which is why it is only one person included. Mekong Delta tour, it was 25 euros for both of us. Genuinely a great day that we got more than we expected for the price. One mistake that we made in Ninh Binh was paying for entrances separately. Some attractions offer combo tickets, which can be cheaper if you're visiting multiple places. We still enjoyed everything we visited, but we definitely paid a little bit more than we needed to, so check for combined tickets before you buy. Shopping came to 310 euros or around 358 US dollars, and this is completely optional. Most of that was 3 custom-made silk dresses from a tailor in Hoi An for 150 US dollars. Not necessary, but one of my favorite buys in Vietnam. Hoi An is famous for tailoring, so if custom clothes are something you're interested in, it's worth looking into. If shopping is not part of your trip, you can simply remove this category from the total. Admin and essentials came to about 200 euros or about 230 US dollars. Travel insurance was the biggest one, 114 euros for both of us for the month. We used Safety Wing because it has optional add-ons, including for some adventure activities, so it made sense for our trip. Always check your own policy conditions, especially around motorbikes, licenses, and adventure activities. I leave my Safety Wing link in the description. It doesn't add anything to your price, but I do get a small commission if you buy through my link, which helps support this channel. Visas were 44 euros for both of us and apply at least 7 to 10 working days before your trip. Bank fees came to 16 euros and we mostly used Revolut plus cash. For internet, I used a Saily eSIM for around 11 euros for the whole month, and Nikos paid 5.5 US dollars for a local SIM. The eSIM was more convenient, but the local SIM was cheaper. Laundry was under 10 euros for the whole month using self-service laundromats. So after tracking almost everything for 29 days, is Vietnam still cheap in 2026? Yes, but not automatically. If you eat locally, stay in simple private rooms, use sleeper buses, and choose your activities carefully, Vietnam can still be very affordable. Without shopping, we spend around 35 euros or about 40 US dollars per person per day. The things that felt most worth it for us was the food, renting scooters for freedom, the custom dresses in Hoi An, and a few experiences we really wanted to do, like Bana Hills and the Hajian Loop. The things I would rethink next time are more about travel style than money. I would probably be more selective with boat tours because I personally enjoy the freedom of riding motorbikes through places like Ninh Binh more than being on a big group cruise in Halong Bay. And I would also research the season better before going somewhere like Sapa because mid-March was not the best timing for us. It was actually smoky season. Overall, I think our Vietnam budget worked well for the way we travel. We kept costs low on accommodation and transport, but still left space for good food activities and a few things we really wanted to do. And for me, that's usually the best kind of budget travel. If you found this video useful, like and drop a comment below with where you're planning to go. I read every single one, and if you're heading to Hajian, I'll leave our full loop budget breakdown on the end screen. 3 days, 2 people, under 135 US dollars. See you in the next one!